This meeting is being recorded by the host or participant. The account owner can also watch.
Oh, Seth, he didn't mute the computer. If
Oh.
Frankie was here to edit things, we would do a little restart, but he's not. So, hey, Beat Baseball World, welcome back to the Beat Ball Blues Show.
Voiceover off.
Bye, voiceover.
I'm sorry, man. It's live TV. Well, it's not live though.
Yeah, well, they might not have known. We could have pretended it was so unsmooth at the beginning, like all of our live episodes. They might not have figured it out. But just like Seth's voiceover, day 4 is off. We are done with day 4 of the 5 days in the National Beat Baseball Association World Series Tournament. Neil Dog Bam Bam here to bring you up to date. Seth Dog, I am ready for Beat Baseball to be done.
Oh, dude, it's so hot and tiring, man. I'm sore. I'm sore. That's it.
So many games.
It's funny back when I was young, man. Like, at this point in time, if we were eliminated, I'd be partying pretty hard. Pretty, feeling pretty good. And over the last several years, though, on Friday night, when everybody is partying really hard, I'm asleep in my bed. And then on Saturday, nobody wants to party with me, man. So
what a difference a few decades make.
Yeah, right. Yeah, life catches up with you every once in a while. I'm sure I'm sure there are people who were my age who are actually out there partying, but even on my
yeah, true that. I know that. It's funny you brought that up though, because I was thinking about that when I was just getting stuff ready for us to do the show tonight. I was just thinking like Friday night really if you're knocked out on Friday night, going into Friday like that seemed to be like the most fun party night. Like, what I mean? Like Thursday, you're bitter that you got knocked out on Thursday.
Exactly. Like, really? Can we go home now, coach?
Right. And Saturday, there's the banquet and everything going. It's a fun night, but it's a different thing. You get knocked out on Friday, it's like, man, it hurts, but that's a party. The best trash talking circles we have ever sat in have been on Friday night.
Yeah, without a doubt. And stop me at the store on the way home from the field.
Yeah. First stop. Gotta wonder what liquor stores think when 12, 15 blind dudes come walking in baseball uniforms and buy about $300 worth of alcohol.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, Friday night is the best party night at the tournament.
Go home for the family dinner. I saw some at work I don't normally see.
Yeah, right.
None of them had case there. Oh, it was a big choo-choo train.
Yeah. The choo-choo train, man. I don't miss that stuff.
Oh, no, I've been blind over 40 years now. I don't know anybody that rejects the choo-choo train like you. Like, I don't know if it shames you or if it's just because you're bigger than the rest of us. So it's not because the choo-choo train never works for anybody beyond whoever's holding on to the sighted person. Like, everybody beyond the sighted person is. Yeah. So. But nobody protests the choo-choo train like that.
I refuse the choo-choo train. Man. That is the quintessential blind thing to me, man. I think I saw it in the movie Mask when they went to a blind camp and they had everybody. This is before I lost my sight. They had everybody walking around in the damn choo-choo trains. No, I don't do that nonsense. Well,
it's funny when Like I forgot how strongly you are opposed to it, because I was only thinking like in World Series context with lots of people.
Right.
But like when it's just you, Christina, and I, if I
Right.
grab onto you, you're like, no, go
Yeah.
take, go. You're like, you're instructive about it. You're like, no, go take her other children. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, Daddy, on my way. You don't
Yeah.
have any part of it in any way, shape, or form.
That is true. I had never really thought about that until you brought it up right now. But you are. I've thought about it in the past, I'm sure, but I had forgotten about it. But you are 100%
It's
right.
just in your neuro net now
Yeah.
because you've been opposed to it so long.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yes.
Uh,
That
you
is
know
true.
what? Before we dive into the update, while we're kind of going over a few funny things or cool things or World Series things, one thing that you and I have always been appreciative of is when other teams have cool little like songs, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Cool little
Yeah.
rhythms. Like even
Yeah.
though you ended up playing with the Heat, like you 7 8 years before you ever played with them, when they beat it, we won 3 championships in a row from 99 to 01, and it was the Heat that stopped our run in 02. And even though they broke our hearts and stole what we thought was ours, we were blown away when they came into the banquet with their Heat.
Yeah.
Heat. And it's like, oh man, they're taking everything from us.
Yeah.
We don't have the cool song anymore. They're the champs. Anyways, along those lines, listening to the Edge and the Blackhawks game today, something the Edge do when their players are coming in from defense, that it sounded hella cool. They're all in rhythm. They got a beat going. Uh, I've been mixing it up. I got to make sure I get it right. Right here, the bench right here, right here. It sounds fresh, dude. They're all in rhythm together, man. Sounds like something I remember the Titans, dude.
Oh, that's funny.
I gotta give them credit. And it's funny, it just hit me like a half hour ago because I was thinking, what's really cool about it is they don't do it that much. They're like reserved about it. They kind of
Right.
save it for the right moment. And then
Right.
it hit me. It's like, man, we've seen them come in from defense like 6 times this
Yeah.
whole
Right. Well, that's
tournament.
true.
So
Right.
I don't know that I could give them that credit
Oh, that's
until we
true.
see them play a lot of defensive innings.
Well, that is true. That is.
We'll get to the scores. I thought it was going to happen today. It was looking like it, but things turned out the way they did. And circling back to yesterday's show, not that this is like funny necessarily, but I was going to mention this yesterday when Matt brought up the Boston Renegades and the songs, like different songs that the
Oh,
Renegades have.
uh-huh.
I'm sure you remember
Oh,
when we had them on the show and
oh,
getting kind of the fun background behind it. Chris Kimball, I don't have any update on like anything from how he's advanced from yesterday with his shoulder injury. So it's still shout out to him and any other player that has been injured this week or couldn't play in the tournament because they were injured before that. We're wishing all of you quick healing, but it reminded me when we were talking about Boston and Chris Kimball, and I started to bring it up in the show, and then it just, sometimes you got to just let stuff go because the moment is gone. But I wanted to bring it up, especially because Rob Wiseman gave us a shout out for talking about Chris after during the last rankings meeting of the year, which I want to say was like around July 12th or something like that, maybe 14th. I don't know, maybe later, maybe it was later, but either way, um, during that meeting, while I was just sitting back listening, when Rob Wiseman was given the Boston Renegades update, I came up with a little song for Chris Kimball. And I've literally wanted to send like a little audio message to the Boston Renegades Facebook page, but I felt too stupid doing it. So I never did it. But, since we were talking about Chris Kimball and whatever, I was going to sing it last night and get Matt's opinion to see if it's something the Renegades would take in or not. But I'll get your opinion, but crispy kibble, crispy quick. Chris hit the ball with that boom stick. Does that sound like something Boston would do?
That sounds exactly like something Boston would do.
I love it. I want to hear it on the field next year.
Yeah,
I want to hear it on the field when Chris is back healthy. Actually, this year, because they've got we're going to have a Renegades episode sometime in the near future, and they've got a couple of like fundraising exhibition games they're going to be doing. So we might get to hear it then, because they usually stream those. But I don't know a lot about Chris's talent, so he might not be quick. This might sound a little mean, but calling Sean defensive-ish is kind of mean too, and they came up with that. So if he's not quick, it's crispy quid. I can't even get it out. Crispy kibble. He ain't that quick, but he hit the ball with that boom stick. You can still work it in there, even if Chris isn't fast. So we'll see if we hear it on the sideline.
Neil, if they have a real good sense of humor. Let me stop, because people will get mad at me, man. I'll stop. Let me stop. All right, let's go. I'm sorry. That sounds good, man.
I actually thought you were going from like my own thing, like, well, Neil, if they got a real good sense of humor, they might like you about your song. But you had your own version.
Well, when you brought up the song, something jumped into my mind immediately.
Well, I'll be honest, and I don't know if I've been meaning to say Crispy Kimball, because that's his name, Chris Kimball. And I think I'm worried that when I thought about it ahead of time, and I don't know if I said Crispy Nimble or Crispy Kimball, that old rhyme of something be nimble, something be quick. I don't know what that's from. So if it's something offensive, originally, which I'm worried now it might be.
Like Daniel Boone was a man.
Yeah. But the bear was, yes. So if it's anything like that, honestly, I do not know.
No, it's Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack jumped
over the. Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember what it was. I was trying to think of that like yesterday. I was like, man, what was that originally? I could not come up with it. So, all right, good. I didn't offend anybody. Well, not with that.
Of course
we'll
not.
Find something.
You never quite know.
We'll find something. So, real quick,
Neil, what do you ever do that's real quick?
That's a good point. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. When we were running down scores yesterday, which was only the one round, I did not do this on purpose. I had them written down. I just didn't go far enough down the page. But I left out the placement games, and I was originally going to just ignore it and not do the placement games that were played today, to be consistent and not do any of the placement games. But we need to mention the placement games today. There's a significant reason to mention them today. So I want to circle back. That's only 2 games, but on Thursday there were 2 placement games played. These are teams that have been knocked out of the double elimination tournament, and most of the time it's determining 14th or 15th, and I don't know what positions these 2 games determine, but it will be somewhere like in the bottom 5. I do believe that to be accurate.
Call this the barbecue bracket?
No, that was like what we called when we did a championship round and a consolation bracket.
I know.
I mean, you can call it that, but it's not quite the same thing. Placement game sure doesn't sound sexy, so I don't know. Anyways, in those games, the Long Island Bombers beat the Minnesota Millers 13-8. The Braille Bandits beat the Panthers 4-3. So I don't think our South Gabriel Valley, my mouth just can't work anymore, Seth. I'm done. The South Gabriel Valley Panthers I don't think they picked up a win, unfortunately, man. But
So, hey, Neil Dog, sometimes you learn more from losing than you do from winning, Neil Dog.
well, we all got to go through it. I did think that they were. I mean, I don't think they played horribly, but I did think they were more prepared for this tournament because they had they have players on their team that have been on other World Series team. Only like 3 of them, and they lost one of those, B Yang, to an injury. So it hurts not having experience, but I thought they had enough experience to maybe get in and get a few victories, but that did not happen. But they're gonna keep coming back.
Yeah, no,
So,
man. Every year somebody goes winless, so it's all
yeah.
it's all good. It's all good.
Someone's got to do it. We used to, well, on our team, when somebody was in that kind of position, we always referred to them as the sacrificial lamb. So,
Yeah, right.
all right, the Panthers had to be our sacrificial lamb this year.
Yes.
All right, so Friday, it's not like there were a ton of games, but we had 4 different time frames. Normally there's never more than 3 time sections. What's the right word? Time frames don't. Yeah, time slots. Thank you. So good that you're smart.
Neil Dye, so I'm here for you. So I'm here for you, man.
So the games sessions were everything was central 8, 11, 2, and 5. These 8 o'clock games are games that started on Thursday at 11:30, but ended up getting rained out. We forgot to mention them because I forgot to mention them. There were 2 games that were about an inning and a half in progress when the rain started dumping, and that was Philly Fire and the Chicago Comets. So they resumed that game today, and the Fire won 14-8. That eliminated the Comets from double elimination play. And the other game was the San Antonio Jets and the Bayou City. Did I say the Bayou City Jets? I didn't, right? Man, my mind, dude. I know I haven't been out there playing, but listening to like 2 or 3 games at a time, all for several hours, it wore my brain out more than I expected it to. Like I've just had a quiet house ever since the third place game was over. So it was.
Dude, it's same here. Jumping from game to game, it's hard to do, man.
Excuse me. So the San Antonio Jets beat the Bayou City Heat 22-11. That ended the Heat's part of the double elimination tournament.
22 or 20?
22-11.
Thank you.
Yeah, 11-point win. And these
are we Rosita Foster now? Are we point?
What?
Aren't they runs? You said at 11.
Oh,
I said, are we Rosita Foster now?
Hey, leave her alone. She hasn't said that all week. I thought it was your fault, but it's Axel Cox's fault. So I'm just gonna say both of your yahoos, man. Let people be who they are.
Oh yeah, right. I hear that.
All right. So these are, I think there's 3 placement games that were played. That same thing. They had been started at 11:30 on Thursday, and they were part of the 8 o'clock slot. And that's the Gateway Archers beating the Braille Bandits of Palm Beach County 18-0, 19-0. Tyler Tigers beat the BCS Outlaws 12-8. The Atlanta Chaos beat the Hurricanes 12-8, which is confusing to me because these teams that are losing these placement games still played more games. I've never paid too much attention to that. I know it didn't have to play in it. I didn't have to arrange it.
No, they keep advancing. Yeah,
it doesn't make a lot of sense to make teams that have been knocked out of a double elimination tournament. I would hate playing 1 extra game. Playing 2 extra games, it feels insulting, doesn't it?
Oh, dude, I got up to you get up on Friday morning to go play a game after your tournament is over. Okay, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's hard.
Playing a second one though, even.
No, dude, yeah. I think that even happened now. So I think we won our first one, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we
We're
get to go
good.
back.
What'd we
Yeah,
win?
we get to go
A
back to the
new
hotel."
game, Bob.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. We won our first game, and I thought we would go back to the hotel. We ended up going and playing the second one.
That's too much.
Yeah.
That needs to, the original thought with the placement games had a lot to do with one, like there could with when we have brackets in the round robin that only have 3 teams,
Right.
and then a double elimination tournament. Some teams could pay all that money to go to the World Series and play all of 4 games.
Right.
But in addition to that, our ranking system previously was done on the previous
Baseball.
World
Right.
Series.
Right.
So
Right.
we needed to get definitive finishes to the places.
Right.
I think now that a ranking committee handles all that, I bet the teams would say, you know what? Whatever tiebreaker you want to use, coin flip, you know what I mean?
Right.
Do what you want. And if you forfeit it, you'll get penalized.
Right.
So that's a system that needs to be looked at, in my
Right.
opinion.
And there'll also be a system that would have different ideas depending on what type of team you are, right? Like if you came in expecting to compete, you might not, you're like, oh man, we're done on Friday. Let's just be done on Friday, party, do our thing. But if you are a more
If you're the
recreational team,
Panthers and you want more
right,
experience, yeah,
right, then you might be able to play 2, 3 more games where it's like, all right, guys, so
yeah.
I could understand it from a certain from a certain point of view, but I've been there. It is hard. It is
Yeah.
hard. It is hard.
It'd be interesting to hear. I'd be more interested in hearing what the teams think on that matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what the organizers think because they're not putting their bodies through 2 extra games. This is the kind of issue that I would always want to take to the membership and let the players decide. If the players say, "Hey, we want to play those games," that's why we're here. I get that. I get that response from players. Like, screw you. There's a beat ball game. I'm going. It was like, all right.
Right.
Okay, you know what I mean? If I played 5 games but we're knocked out, I'm good. I'd rather go watch a game than go play a game at that point. We failed our mission, but that's
Right.
me. That's me. I realize not everybody thinks that way. So,
Right.
I would love to hear feedback from membership, what everybody thinks. Anyway, let's move on to the 11 o'clock games. So these are now the games that would have been played normally at 8:30 a.m. on Friday, but because of the changes, had to be moved back. We had the San Antonio Jets play the Boston Renegades, and the Jets rolled them 15-5. Got off to a very fast start, like I don't know, 8 runs in the first inning, something like that, and just kept going. They showed up to play. Our only other game at that time in the championship round was the Philly Fire and the Indy Thunder, and the Fire won that game 15-13, and that game right there is probably the best game of the tournament so far. It was a solid game by both teams. At one point, I don't know, maybe 3 innings in, Philadelphia led 8-4, but it was never really there was never really a big gap, and the Thunder were the home team, and going to this was the score going to the bottom of the fifth innings, 15-13, and there weren't strikeouts. Nick Silver made big plays for the Fire. Without Nick Silver on the Philly Fire roster, they just added in 2-3 weeks before the World Series. Philly Fire did not win this game without him being part of the roster. He just made some breaking plays out on defense late in the game. But both teams, neither team had a strikeout, I believe, in those 9 outs over the last inning and a half. Players just stepped up and made plays. I don't know about you. I thought 15-13 and Jared Woodard gets 6 outs to Philly Fire's 3. You guys are in trouble. You had them down, but they stepped up, man. Shout out to the Philly Fire because that was a huge win. do you agree? Like when
Yeah, no, and
going into that last. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, you wouldn't expect. I mean, obviously, Jarrett was putting it into play, right? And so,
Yeah, yeah.
it then it brings kind of the. I mean, we don't know from here, right? We don't know what. I didn't watch it. You do. You did. I don't know what type of hits he was getting, which always has something. Pitchers could
No,
be.
that's true. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. I had, I think, 2 games on at that point, or the whole the whole week is a blur of games in my mind right now. But I'm not saying everything was a shot hit deep in the outfield, but that I know, like, one of those plays that Nick Silver made. Dakota Hogwood was doing the play-by-play. She wasn't in the game at that time, and she was doing the play-by-play. And she's a partial, so she sees the game pretty good. But she didn't see Nick make the play, and she thought it was a run, and she had kind of given up on it. And she's trailing with it. She's like, the defender is holy crap, he made that play. So I don't even know who that it was, and it was an amazing play, but it ended up being Nick Silver. So, like, I mean, they made good plays on both sides. It was a good game. And I predict Gerald Dykes is going to be the offensive MVP, because I think I saw him get out one time. He and Jared Woodard just rolled this entire tournament. It was pretty impressive. The rest of the games during this time slot were placement games. Had the Minnesota Millers beat the Braille Bandits 18-2. Gateway Archers beat the Long Island Bombers 22-4. I heard
the Gateway Archers getting hot when it didn't matter anymore. Man, that's crazy.
I think I heard Matt Wallace report during the third place game that put Gateway in 16th place, but that can't be right, because they've played 2 placement games and they won both of them, like in a landslide. So when the other one 19-0 or something, I think. That can't possibly be right. I don't know what place they are, but it's got to be more in the 12-13 range. I think they are one of the first 5 out, so I don't think they could finish higher than 12, but who knows, Seth? Who could make sense of these things sometimes? Let me throw down these other 2 first. The Houston Hurricanes beat the BCS Outlaws 15-8. We'll be talking about that a little bit before we close up shop. The Tyler Tigers beat the Atlanta Chaos 23-11. That was kind of a surprising. Not surprising that Tyler won, but winning that big was surprising to me. And the reason I want to make sure,
again, you never know what team's showing up on.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Different world.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we've already established it. Different people have a different attitude about it. So Atlanta could have said, "Hey, congratulations." my kids who aren't blind, we're gonna put a blindfold on them, let them get a few innings. The reason I had to, I felt obligated to bring in the placement games. The Chicago Comets beat the Bayou City Heat 16-10, and I wanted to rub it in your face. No, I'm kidding. Nick Lopez, longtime friend of ours, 36 years pitching, and the NBBA, pitched his last game in that game. He's retiring from beat baseball. So, go ahead.
That's a good game. The Heat and the Comets had a long-standing rivalry that I was a part of for a while. So it was a good game for them to, a good matchup, I would think, to go out.
Good way with the win and the team. I'm glad you're here with me, particularly in this moment, because, like, I don't think of those 2 teams as having a rival, but when you say it, I think of all the comments. I'm saying the word right this time, that you've made Like when we've had Chicago players on the team, like
Right.
you guys always have some big game or something crazy
Right.
happen, whatever. So no,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
call right there. Yeah. So shout out to Nick Lopez. I mean, I don't know how much he pitches now, but I mean, he's had the most unique pitch delivery out of everybody in beat baseball over the years. That okay, here we go, ready, beats. Nobody does it like Nick. I will say this: it's funny. Nick Lopez and Jeremy Lopez, absolutely no relation. Jeremy Lopez, the rookie pitcher for the Jets, he sounds like Nick to me. Not he doesn't say ready peach, ready peach. But when he's getting ready, when he's like, here we go, I picture Nick Lopez almost every time. You hear the fireworks in the background?
At your house?
Yeah.
No.
It's gotten quiet. It'll pick up. Well, I live close to Cal Expo, and that the fairground. That's the California State Fair, and this is the last weekend. So on Friday and Saturday night they do fireworks. So it is.
Man, I missed it, man. I wanted to go see a 500-pound pig, man. I missed it.
It is. It is midnight in Beaumont, Texas, right now, Seth, and we still aren't done with our update yet. But it's coming. It's coming. We're wrapping it up. Oh, so man, much love to Nick Lopez.
Yeah.
I love
Welcome
that
to the
dude.
retired world, Nick. You'll enjoy it.
He's still got so much family involved. He's got like a son who's pitching. His granddaughter Erica does play by play on their games. So the Lopez family's gonna be connected to Chicago and beat ball forever. But best wishes to Nick Lopez. I love that dude. And at 2 o'clock, we wrapping up. There's hardly anybody left. The Indy Edge finally on the field again, played the Austin Blackhawks. These were the last two teams.
Hey, that must have been a hard. I mean, that was a long time to wait on Friday to wait all the way till 2 o'clock.
Yeah, no,
You'd
I
some
would have been so antsy,
Yeah,
and they
you'd be
really
ready
haven't.
to play.
They haven't hardly played. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I just would have been so antsy by this
Right,
point.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I hear you. So they played the Austin Blackhawks. These were our last two teams that were undefeated. So the winner advances to the championship game, needing to be defeated twice on Saturday to lose the championship. And they defeated the Blackhawks 20-8. After two innings, it was 5-4, and not that I necessarily Austin was leading 5-4 at the end of two innings. Not that I necessarily thought that the Blackhawks were going to be able to hold that over 6 innings, but I did feel like we were going to like finally get a 5-6 inning game. But I think it was in the third inning, top of the third, the Edge maybe put up a 7 spot, and then you know what I mean. They stopped giving up runs. I think 11-6 was maybe the closest it was, like from that point on. So good run by Austin. Like just getting to that point, that's a surprising run. Even though I know I'm pat myself on the back because I had them at number 2 back in June. I had them at number 10, just like everybody else coming into the World Series. So they just getting to this game was a nice run.
All right. Yeah.
And honestly, 28, knowing they don't have Brandon Chesser, that's I don't know. You knew they had a rough road ahead once they lost Brandon. It wasn't gonna be easy with them. So
No, and it would be tough regardless, right? The Edge has been favored the whole time. So I mean, and that's how you would expect. I mean, you see that in college football games, where you hang around with the great team for a little bit, and then the great team just
yeah, that's true.
Pulls away and it's over. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah, I do actually. I'm not a big college football fan, kind of because of that. You see too many games like that, and sometimes I'll check on the college football score, and It's like, it's a second quarter. It's 13-7. It's like, well, I guess I read that wrong. And then in the, third quarter, it's 38-7 or,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I
So,
totally feel what you're saying. So
uh,
at that point, the only other two teams alive in the tournament were the Jets and the Fire. So they played an elimination game, and the Jets won that 14-8. And then it's not as close as it sounds. It was 14-0 after the after the first inning. The Jets, I mean, that's their third game that they have a double digit win over good teams. You know what I mean? They worked out the Heat, they worked out the Fire. I'm drawing a blank on who the Renegades. These are top
uh,
6 teams, and they just rolled over them. I thought that when they lost the game to Austin, I guess that was Wednesday, or was that yesterday? I don't know. Thursday was a blur. I think it was Wednesday. The whole tournament's a little bit of a blur. But when they lost that game, and like you pointed out, they had to come from behind to beat Chicago. I was like, they're close, but I don't know that they're ready to make a run. But man, did they shut me up today? Those first 3 games, that's just impressive. Which means, Sethok, they had to play a fourth game today. They played Austin. Austin lost to the Edge, and
right,
that left the Jets in Austin for the third place game.
right,
I'm sorry. Before we get into that, I left out the placement game between the Renegades and the Thunder. The Renegades defeated the Thunder 16-13. So I do know they finished fifth. The Thunder finished sixth, and that win for Chicago gave them seventh, which has to give the Heat eighth. Um, so I don't know the placements beyond on
right.
eighth, but I feel good about giving you those spots. And then in the third place game, the Jets beat the Blackhawks 12-7. They started that game out 12-0, I believe, or maybe in the second inning. They went 2 innings. They kept the Blackhawks shut out, had them 12-0.
Right. So
That's
I
still
do
not right.
remember
I'm
that game.
sorry. It was 12-0 after 3 innings. I remember now. They had to play 9 outs to close out the game. Sorry, trying
Right,
to pull it back,
right,
but I want to be accurate. It was after 3 innings they were up 12-0. But man, that not only did the Jets, Seth, play 4 games to get to this championship game, they blew out all 4 good opponents.
right.
I've never seen a team nut up like that to get to a championship game.
No, I mean nobody's ever
Had to.
yeah, I mean outside of the only one I could, think of outside of Albuquerque in '88, um, who had to beat the Blaze like Saturday morning and shit like that. I can't think of a team that's done it in that dramatic of a fashion. Of course, Albuquerque went on to win the championship. Um, but
I I I I know, I believe anyway, it happened in the late 80s, like 85 to 88, somewhere. I can maybe not 87 or 88, but like 85, 86. I remember hearing stories about a team that had to play 4 games on Friday to get to Saturday, and they might even had to play like 3 games if they were going to win it all on Saturday. So I don't think this is the first time that 4 teams had to play 4 games in one day, but it's the first time in a long damn time. And
no, I
that's
mean, 'cause back then it used to just be the 3 game, the shorter tournament as well. Now that you say that, we played, we didn't used to start on Tuesday. We used to start
Yeah,
on
it
Wednesday.
was a 4 game turn.
It
Yeah,
was four.
back until 2007, it was a 4 day tournament instead of
Right,
5. And there were some tournaments in like 86 had 22 teams,
right, right.
and I think 87 had 21. So when you have that many teams in a double elimination
Right.
tournament, in 4 days, you just keep playing until
Right.
your legs fall off.
Right.
But
Happens,
spreading
right.
our tournament out over 5 days is better for our players. It's not fair. And some people are arguing now to extend it to a 6-day tournament. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't even have any thoughts on it right now. But it's better for our players to spread the games out a little bit more. But man, shout out to the Jets. The 4-0 in one day, all top opponents, and blowing them out with a
Right.
rookie pitcher.
Right.
Jeremy's still a rookie pitcher, man. Unbelievable. And their defense was back. Like, that's the big area where I've been disappointed. Like, I knew their offense would be hit and miss while they're learning,
Right.
getting a new era going. But they had a great defense last year, and I hadn't seen it yet. But man, they came alive today. They came alive today. I can't give them enough credit. And I want to give Booker and Woodard and the Thunder a lot of credit too. Their season on and off the field for the last 12 months has been something we've never really seen. The departures of their players, so thinking that they got some coming that end up going also. Jared's injury, everything that Booker went through with the league, and his position that he had earned off the field. Like, I don't know that I can't imagine what Booker feels like at the end of these 12 months. You know what I mean? And their whole team, because they all carried it with him. But they showed so much grit to still show up. They've lost so many all-star players, and they just didn't have the same roster. And I didn't believe going in that they could hold up. But I mean, they still held up, finished 6th place, which after 5 championships is disappointing, I'm sure. But man,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But that coming into it, they could have easily fallen off the map the way this year's
Nobody
gone.
went through more changes than they did, and
Yeah.
and all pretty much negative changes, or
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I don't know all their internal dynamics, but
A lot
a
of
lot of
we can't
negative,
say
a
that for
lot
sure.
of negative stuff. The
Yeah,
Edge
yeah.
went through a lot of changes, but that was all like positive additions and stuff, but nothing like the Thunder. And so, no, I mean, they're a great team. I mean, Jared's a great pitcher. You knew he
Yeah.
wasn't gonna mail it in or anything like that. You know.
And they got players coming back. Zach Bueller is one of our players who missed this tournament because of injury. He had 2 athletes he was bringing on from the USA goalball team, and so who knows if they'll have all 3 of them back. But I expect they'll get Bueller back next year. Who knows? Maybe Tello will go back and play with them again. But they're not going to go away. They're going to keep bringing people in, and as long as you've got a pitcher like Jared, you'll have a shot. But just on this year alone, they showed so much grit.
Uh,
And when they lost to Austin yesterday, that 1914 game, that snapped like a 19 game
yeah.
winning streak at the World Series. So, man, shout out to them. Booker and Woodard, they're friends of ours. So we
Yes.
cared about
Hey,
everything they've
hey,
been
hey,
going through.
trivia question: what team was the last team to beat the Thunder?
I don't. Was it the Heat?
Bayou City. Very smart. Dude, you're so smart. Bayou City,
I
we beat them in the championship in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
good call. I'm not good at pulling that stuff out. When
Yeah.
people bring it up, you know what I mean? It's like,
Neil,
it's not gone from my memory, but I can't recall that kind of
Neil,
stuff.
if I wasn't standing on the
Part of it.
field,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never would have been able to tell you in a million years who it was. I could tell you who they lost to previous to that. That was the Bayou City Heat 2017. But I digress.
So that brings us down to the championship game tomorrow. That's going to be the Jets and the Edge. They were our top 2 teams. They've been ranked by most pretty much all season 1 and 2, and they ended up getting to the championship game. They're certainly the 2 most talented teams. So hopefully they are going to deliver. Time wise, Central Time again, because they're in Beaumont, Texas. The Hall of Fame ceremonies are going to start at 9:30 a.m. The championship game, I don't know, ceremony, they called it a ceremony or something, just when they're announcing all the starting lineups and all that stuff, is going to begin at 10:30 Central, with the championship game starting at 11 a.m. And remember, it's a double elimination tournament, so if the Jets defeat the Edge in the first game, there's going to be a second game to decide our 2022 title. Seth, when I saw that there's an hour set aside for the Hall of Fame ceremony, I mean, I dig that. You know, we bring on people and talk about those who made the Hall of Fame. I'm proud of our Hall of Famers. I haven't heard anything concrete about people going into the Hall of Fame to where like it's going to take an hour. I are Like last year, it seemed like there was a huge list announced ahead of time of people that were being inducted. And I saw a post by Tanner Gears. Do you know anything? Do you know if Tanner's been inducted, or is he, do you know
Uh,
if he's being inducted tomorrow?
I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't seen anything.
I only asked because I saw a post by Tanner, and I couldn't even tell you what it was, but I saw a post by Tanner sometime in the last 3 or 4 weeks that something in his writing made me think he was being inducted this year. And so if I have that wrong, I'm not, I'm not trying to, people take it. Sometimes this stuff is me trying to create something. I'm not, I should have, I guess, followed up on it and to see, but I haven't seen anything on anybody being inducted. And if they set an hour aside for it, I'm expecting there to be a big list like last year. So
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard one. You know, I don't know. I don't know one way or the other. It's the at least on the Tanner thing. It might. I don't know if Tanner out if he does. I mean, unless he's done other tournaments, I don't know if he has those five. Um,
I
he would be
I
right
believe
at.
he
He would be
does.
right at five, or six or whatever. But I just don't know. I get he started doing winning them when he came on with the Heat.
Yeah.
And the he came on to the Heat, I think, in 2014 and then through 2017. So and then
I especially when we started the show, um I used to go through, I would go back when we have guests,
right.
I would go back quite a
Oh,
ways
look and shit. Yeah.
looking at the Hall of
Oh
Fame. I
yeah, I
mean,
remember.
looking at the all tournament stuff for the last 10, 15 years,
Right.
depending on who it was. And Tanner's up there a lot. I don't know the exact number, but he is up there quite a bit. And even if it's not five, I feel confident that he's played in enough regional tournaments
Right.
and probably, picked
Right.
up some, because like two
Right.
regional
Right.
all
Yeah, that's what
tournaments.
I don't know any of his regional history.
I don't either, but I trust, well, like especially when he was
Right.
hot and playing with the Edge, because the Edge played in
Right.
multiple tournaments,
Yep.
and the Heat at least go to Beaumont every year. I have no doubt he could have made. You know what I
Yeah.
feel confident that he's
No,
eligible. I don't know if he was nominated,
right.
and I don't know if I read what I read correctly. I may have just
Yeah. No,
misinterpreted like I do often, but
yeah.
for some reason I thought it was a
Yeah.
possibility he was going in, and
One
I
time.
certainly never questioned that whether or not he's eligible. So
Oh yeah, no, he's a great hitter. I was just saying, like, just the time because I played with him in the time that he was on that Heat and on that great run or whatever. He won like three MVPs and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Just
no, I think
wow.
he's pretty solid. So I don't know. I'll be interested to check that out. Just when I saw they have an hour set aside for that, it's like, wow, that's a long time slot. I wonder what you got planned with it. Last year they when it was in Kansas, they like so many Kansas related,
Right.
people got brought in there. So I'm wondering if we're gonna see like 20 Texans Texan players get inducted tomorrow. Excuse me. So any thoughts on the championship game from you? before
No,
we
I mean,
wrap that up.
you would imagine that the Edge would have a strong. I mean, just how the tournament has turned out now, with San Antonio playing like 4 games today. Um, that that would favor the Edge because San Antonio's got to win 2 tomorrow. So, it's possible that the San Antonio takes 1 in the morning, but then the Edge you would imagine, would take the second one regardless. But it probably will be the Edge in the morning. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. 4 games in one day, though Thursday was a very light day, right? 4 games in one day probably would take its toll on the team. That's my guess.
I hear you. And you're right. Thursday was a light day. The team that ends up playing 3 games on Friday, you always look at it, it's like, man, getting up Saturday and having to win 2, that's just such a long road. One, like I would have thought like 4 games would have killed them, but they rolled through those 4 games. But something that I think also works in their favor is at least 2 of those games, they only played 3 innings on offense. And that's what really takes it out of you. I know the Heat, you know what I mean? I know the whole game could take it out of you, but running those bases, it's what wears your body out. And them getting up early in those games and not having to play a lot of offense, a lot of innings of offense, I think might help their legs. And like you already pointed out, Thursday was almost a wash.
Yeah,
So
Thursday was really easy, so they wouldn't have to worry about that. But I do think standing out in the field, I don't know how hot it was today. I do think that takes a toll on you. During when you're batting, at least you're sitting in some shade and you're
yeah,
relaxed.
no, good, great call.
When you're out there, especially in those 12-run rules,
Yeah, no, that's a good call.
it gets hard at times.
What I guess I'm curious to see, and I guess I would like to see it because Indy should be pressured. Like they haven't been pressured this entire season. I meant to go back and look at it. I think in the hitters and heroes tournament back in May, there was one game. I think their game with Philadelphia was just like a 12-8 game. You know what I mean? They didn't blow them out. I could have that wrong, but I remember them having one close game in the early going, but outside of that, they've just rolled over people. And we pointed out last year, you and I did on this show when we were wrapping up the World Series or recapping the World Series, when Indy was pressured, the Indy Edge, got to be specific with two, they didn't handle pressure well. And we talked about how that's something that they needed to improve on. And I had a few of the leaders on their team, some of their top players, reach out to me and say, man, you and Seth were 100% right, totally agreed with everything we said, but we don't know if they've improved there or not. I know it's a different team, different players, because they haven't been pressured. I would love to see the Jets jump on them early in that first game and see how the Edge respond. Make them go out and earn it.
That would almost be that you would figure that would almost be possible if it wasn't Eric Rodriguez standing out there in the field.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's an easy task.
I'm just saying like it's I mean the people that they're a lot of their core players are coming off that 5 championship run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so it's not a pressure situation for them. You know what I'm saying? Eric Rodriguez is where Eric Rodriguez is expected to be.
You're right. Now, and I know you're right, but I mean that's Eric, Corey, and Corian. That part of it stops there. Kyle Kennedy's never played in this game. Nick Mulheron, Mark Morris, they've never played in this game. You know what I'm saying? That when it's a first time for you, it's the first time. Doesn't matter how much experience Eric Rodriguez has. He's gonna be cool. The Corey and Corian both are going to be cool. You know that. And I expect Justin Holland, he's never played in this game. And I know these are all primo athletes and they're not afraid of the moment, But I could tell you my first championship game, I had the jitters for like 4 innings, man. It's a different feel, you know what I mean? So
and you know, and there's no, I mean, I certainly am not dismissing that, but that, you know, the fact that you do have such good players out there on defense
yeah,
does kind of, you know, as long as the balls are being hit their direction or Eric's direction, you'll be fine. But you never know. You never know. And then again, the flip side of that is you know the you know the pitcher for the San Antonio, right? I mean, he also is new, like
no,
Kyle
excellent
Kennedy is
call.
new.
Excellent call.
You know, so
You know, on that, like, because we gave Jeremy a lot of credit, the Philly Fire improved this year. They had their highest finish ever in their history, and Pat Krause is a first-time pitcher also. So I meant to mention that earlier when we went by their last game and didn't. So just kind of like the Jets, like they're like in a real promising situation going forward. You know, a brand new pitcher that's shown you that they can stay with you to the promised land. So they're both kind of in that situation. But you know, wrapping up like us talking about tomorrow's game, circling back to how I started it. I would just like to see that. So I'm not predicting it. I'm not predicting we're going to see the Jets up 14-0 after 2 innings, and we got to see the Edge fight back. I want to see it. I would like to see. I would like to see them respond. You know what I mean? The way we saw the Jets respond today, like it was fun to see. We didn't know what was going to happen after they started, circling towards being outed, and they responded in a big way. We haven't seen that out of this Jet team because they haven't had to respond.
And you know, the only other real thing, right, the Jets are cool because they're the underdog. You know, nobody expects everybody the Edge are overwhelming, favorite. But
people
here's
are just hoping the Jets can win right now.
Right. But here's the other thing that's the killer. You have to win 2 games.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's where all the jitters or whatever happens in the first game, right? If they lose, if the Edge loses, well, they it's like, okay, guys, let's wake up. But again, you just never know. They could all, they could all fall apart. Kyle Kennedy could fall apart.
Things are hard to do until they happen. So we will see. We'll see what happens. It all will be found on the Game of the Day streams.
Hold on, before you jump onto that, I did listen to the Game of the Day, one of the game, the third place game, and I would just like to respond to Matt. I know we won't hear this, but he was very incensed about the rule that did not give the offensive player a new count when the offensive player killed the ball. And he kept saying, that totally benefits the defense. That benefits the defense. And I just wanted to tell him, when the ball dies, it is the defense that is at the disadvantage, not the offense. So if we benefit the defense in the end, why is that a bad thing? They were the ones who are at a disadvantage. Now I know I'm an NFL fan, so I know people don't usually pass rules to help the defense, but the defense is the one who is at the disadvantage. The defense might have made a great play, who knows, but they can't because the ball's not beeping. So it would not be fair to give the offensive player a full new count. Make the offensive player earn his key. But Neil Dogg, you've heard me gripe about that before. Go ahead with your.
I was going to respond to that though.
Okay,
I mean, for one, Matt Wallace, he and Mike Coughlin are roommates and good friends, and Mike Coughlin is one of the 2 people that submitted or put in a proposed rule change to change it back to the getting the full count or whatever. So I'm not surprised that. He's probably heard an earful from Mike Coughlin on why that should be changed. But a lot of it, like I know Dave Binney feels strongly, at least I think he feels strongly about that changing back. I've mentioned this week that I'm in a group text with a bunch of the Carolina players and Wally, Salahuda Jr. or whatever his name is. Even the Philly Fire camp, they're teammates with him. They just call Wally Sally, as they can't say his last name. Well, Wally's in that group. Marvin Stover that played with the Heat this week. He's in that group. But we've been Greg and Jason Ackes. We've been texting during the games, and when that happened, Greg was like, "Man, I hate that play. I hate that rule." So Greg Parra feels the same way. He hates that it's just a dead pitch. I was like, "Oh, you'll be happy to know our boy Seth is one that proposed the change." He's all he wrote was, "Wow." He's all upset.
It only makes sense, you know. It only makes sense. Who knows? The defense might have made a great play, but they were prevented from making a great play because the ball was not beeping, right? So why do we reward the offense? Why give them a new count, right? It's the defense that's put at the disadvantage. Why reward the offense? It makes no logical sense. Period.
I don't. I mean, I think if I were to vote on it right now, I would vote to just keep it the way it is right now. I remember the one argument that Mike Coughlin was making that I didn't really agree with is he was making the argument, it seemed anyways, that every time a ball dies, it's because the ball just got smashed and probably wouldn't have been fielded anyways. And I know from over 20 years of playing that a lot of those dead balls come bouncing right through us. And, you take a shot at it because you can hear it bouncing and you can hear it going through the grass, but you don't have a fair shot at it. You just have a shot at it. And if you get it, before the runner gets to the base, it's still, even if the ball's dead, it'll still count as an out. So, we were a defensive team. Hell yeah, we're going to take a shot at it. But not every dead ball is smashed. I don't agree with that. And if the argument is we should get a new count because you just smashed the ball and now you only have one pitch, I don't agree with that because the ball doesn't die on every. Sometimes the ball dies when it hits the catcher's mitt. So I don't agree with every dead ball's a smash. So.
And that was where I came down. That it's not, these balls die sometimes right next to somebody, and they would have been picked up.
If you listen to the stream, the play-by-play people can figure out what's dead because a player will be standing 5 feet from a ball and not moving. They're like, why are they? Oh, it must be dead. So
exactly.
The fact that none of these balls are fieldable is not an argument that I'll buy. If players feel strongly you should get a new count, you know what I mean? I would only be one vote, but I don't agree that every dead ball is a smash ball. That's just not true. So. Anyways, I do have a little bit of a rant on the game of the day streams. I mean, big surprise. I've ranted a little bit about them for the last 2 days, but I just don't have the energy to go at it. Like when I called you today, it's like, I don't even want to have a guest because I don't want to be responsible for anything we're saying being thrown on any third party or whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't want to bring on a guest and go on this angry rant, but I just don't even feel it. But I am still going to say what I think.
Okay, well, say it.
I love the fact that the NBBA is now doing these game of the day streams. A great idea by Richie Flores. And I don't believe the things I'm complaining. I'm not throwing a name at any of this because I don't know who's making these decisions. I honestly don't know. I kind of glad I don't know because it might be somebody I like a lot. Honestly, you know what I mean? I have no idea who's making these decisions, but they're not making good ones. I thought last year the committee, whoever, individual committee, whoever that made the decisions on what games would be streamed, I thought they made great decisions. If I were sitting each night looking at the schedule for the following day saying which game is it I think should be streamed, that's the game they would have every single day. And I loved it, man. We were showing our best games to the best audience, the largest audience we could create. And I think that's smart. But this year, one, I felt like they were targeting games. I know on some level for a fact that they were targeting games just to get new teams, teams maybe that haven't been streamed before on there, get them in the video archives, whatever. But man, it's not opportunity of the day, it's game of the day. We're not looking for the opportunity to archive a team stream. That's not what we're doing here. It shouldn't be. I don't think it's what we should be targeting. So like a couple of the games, at least one for sure, they had other games on the docket that they should have choosed over it. But man, we talked about these placement games, Seth, not wanting to play them. They streamed a placement game between the Outlaws and the Houston Hurricanes, who were playing for at highest 9th place.
Right.
Both teams out of the tournament playing a placement game, while the game between the Jets and who is it? I'm trying to recall it. What?
No.
Yeah, the Jets not at that time slot.
No.
It was when the 15-13 game between the Fire. They had a choice between that Fire Thunder game that ended up 15-13,
Right.
or they could have done the Jets game and the Jets and the Heat. I mean, you know what I mean? We're down to 6 teams left in the tournament, and we're playing a placement game as one of our game of the day streams. And Rosina and Matt didn't choose this, so this is not shade on them. When we were talking to them last night, we were assuming, all 4 of us, not you and I, all 4 of us assumed they would do the undefeated game and the 3rd place game. Makes sense, right? If not, I guess skip the 3rd place game and do one of those other games I just mentioned, Heat Jets or Fire Thunder. But no. Instead, we're going to do the Hurricanes and the Outlaws. And man, shout out to both those teams. The Hurricanes are a new team that I didn't think could finish in the top 10, and they ended up.
Rose on that team, right?
Yeah. Okay. I wonder why maybe the Hurricanes got a placement game on stream of the day. I don't know. I don't want to say that I can't even say allegedly, because I literally don't know who made these decisions, but they were bad.
I'll just say this, because I had, I wasn't totally aware that it was the San Antonio and Heat that were playing at the same time. Because I was thinking you might have given somebody or given a pass, like, oh, we want to, showcase some Texas teams for, one time or whatever. But you had 2 Texas teams playing in San Antonio and the Heat that were actually still in the tournament. So I can't, for the life of me, outside of the angle that the Boudreaux angle, why they would have those 2 teams on there. I can't figure that out.
When you and I were talking about it earlier this afternoon, and I was really hot about it, and you brought up, it's in Texas. Maybe they wanted 2 Texas teams. I didn't even think that they could have done that with the Heat and the Jets. But no, I don't know. And then the second game wasn't the undefeated game. The second game was the 3rd place game, which I got no problem with the 3rd place game being one of those games. I expected that. How do you choose to not do the undefeated game? Who's making this choice?
Hey, we're not going to cover the NFC Championship game this year.
Yeah, right? Right?
It's not good enough for us,
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like, Tampa Bay and the Jets are going to play a practice game because they had bad seasons. So instead of showing you the NFC Championship game, we're going to give you this practice game between the New York Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Exactly.
I tried to pull 2 bad teams. I forget the Bucks or Tampa Bay is a good team now. I forgot, but I was trying to make a good analogy and I blew it.
Hey, Neil, the first one I thought of was Cincinnati.
Yeah, I started to say the Cincinnati Bengals. I was going to throw my own Raiders in there. With the Raiders and the Bengals, like, well, they played in the playoffs last year, dummy. And I'm drawing blanks on who the playoff teams are,
Right,
or
exactly.
what teams didn't, what teams sucked. Even though there's more of them than good teams,
Yeah,
I couldn't think of two.
yeah.
But that's just a sign we've done way too much talking probably
Yes,
this week
I
anyway.
we could have logged another long show, Neil.
Yeah, I know. Whatever to the audience. We came into both the the second recap and the day 3 recap saying, man, we're gonna do like 20-25 minutes. Rosina and Matt were like, how much time you need? It's like, 20 minutes, fine, 48-minute show. It's like, but I don't know if people were checking them out thinking it's just like recaps, but I enjoyed the show we did with Juan Gonzalez. I thought he was fun. And I thought the show was fun, and I liked that Rosina and Matt were, they just came on as guests to kind of promote the game of the day stuff. I love that they spoke their minds and were open and spoke freely. Like, I don't know. I, I thought this was a good week of shows. Like, our main audience isn't around to listen, like, they're too busy to listen to it. But I'm really proud of what we put out this week. So I thought.
Too bad nobody will ever hear
No, we've gotten some good number of views.
it.
I don't check that very often, but in fact, I haven't even checked day 3's numbers at all. But I was pretty happy considering everybody's at the World Series. I was happy with the numbers we had for days 1 and 2. So, and people will be at home just thinking about the World Series next week. They might go back and look them up. Who knows? Um, let's do a final wrap up on Sunday. I know you're planning on spending time with your mom tomorrow, and we're not going to have. I mean, the only thing we'll have really tomorrow is the final, the results of the championship game. We won't know any all stars or anything till later. So let's do a regular show on Sunday and wrap everything up.
Sold.
Sound good for you? All right.
Oh,
Cool, people. Thank you so much for anybody and everybody that tracked with us all week. It was a good time, man. I had fun covering this tournament so closely. Everybody, enjoy the rest of the tournament.
all
Be
right. Don't
looking
even
for.
know, I guess I don't even know who to root for. Normally I would root against the Jets because Kevin was on the team. But, I loved Kevin, but we had a big long time rivalry.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm not saying like I don't like Kevin or anything, but we just have a rivalry. I don't know. Who are you pulling for, Neil Dog?
Something that I had not pointed out, and I meant to, so I'm glad you went on a little bit. For both these teams, neither franchise has won a championship.
Yeah, right.
So either way, we're going to get a first time winner, which I think is great. I mean, even when the comments beat us in 03, I remember talking to Doc Bradley and Linda Bradley the next morning, and I was like, listen, I wanted to win the championship, but I'm also an NBBA person, and I know it's good for the sport for other teams to get in there. So I want to win every time I'm on the field. But as an NBBA member, I like that the Comets got a championship. I like that the Heat got a championship, and I like that one of these two are going to get a championship tomorrow. I guess if I had a preference, and I like both teams. I've developed friendships with on both sides. I enjoy having their members on the team on our show. I guess I'm leaning towards the Jets because I feel like this edge thing can go on for a while. So if a team can knock them off, tomorrow, I know the edge are going to be right back there next year. I have no doubt of that. So, but I guess you can't take anything for granted. Last year we would have said the Thunder were going to be here
right.
going for number 6. So,
You got that right.
so I don't want to take anything for granted. But if I'm leaning one way or the other, and one, I'd just like to see the Jets kind of keep this roll. Like, I'm so impressed by what they did today, going 4-0 like that, just dominating. So I want to see how it carries over. If they come out flat and just get stomped in the first 2 innings, that's a big letdown. I mean, I know for them, but as a fan, I mean, they've built us up for an exciting game tomorrow. So I hope everybody carries it through. That, honestly, we haven't had a lot of good games this entire week, frankly.
Right.
So everybody who's put so much time and money and effort and melted out there in the heat, especially for the people who are there in Beaumont, they deserve to see a great finish to this World Series. We haven't seen a lot of great competition, and I know our league has it in them. So I wanted to go out with a bang, whatever way it goes. No injuries, and I don't want to see any more injuries. So everybody be safe, be well, and Seth Dog and I will be back Sunday. Ah, I hate it, man. Seth Dog, I thought I had us all set. Just hit Alt P. We're still going, just so you know.
Oh,
I wasn't in the right Zoom. This puts me, I have 2 Zoom windows and I was in the wrong one.
Take two. Okay, everyone. This has been a fun show. We appreciate your attention, and we'll be back on Sunday to wrap up this year's Beat Baseball World Series.
I'm going to bring it full circle, Seth Dog. Right here. Alt P's right here.